Hey guys, I'm Genesis.
And I'm Nikki.
And together we are Genessis and Nikki.
Twins! We are a sister duo.
We are a sister duo.
We lead worship and we're best friends.
So this is kind of a get to know us video. These are some of the most common questions we get asked all the time whenever we're leading or we're serving somewhere.
Like, who are you guys? Are you guys even really sisters? Because in case you guys can't tell, I mean, we look like sisters, but then everyone's like, you also don't.
Right.
So they want to know, are you guys really sisters? What do you guys do? Are you guys best friends? We get all these questions. So today we thought we would introduce who is Genessis and Nikki, and we thought we'd answer some questions that we get asked most often.
Isn't that what I just said? We have an artistic side, but I would definitely say that Nikki and I are worship leaders first. We love God. This has been a relationship and a faith that's been in our lives since we were born, basically. So I'd say we're worship leaders first.
I feel like I definitely am the more artsy one. Like if this was Beyonce and Solange, I'd be the Solange.
The weirdo, the off the quirky one.
I feel like I find God in those spaces. That's, I think, and not that she does it, but I definitely really, the more strange and weird someone is, I'm like, we connect. So yeah, I'd say I feel like art for me and worship goes hand in hand for me. I feel like I am being artistic when I'm worshiping. The leader between the two of us.
There's several aspects because in life, I'm the leader.
I'd say
also I'm the oldest, so I'm the leader.
It's not, you know, I'm gonna break it down. I think we're leaders in different ways.
Right.
She is very strong and I'm very strong in some areas, but I'd say in general, you pretty much take the lead in a lot of things. In a worship sense, I think we're very comfortable with letting one or the other lead.
Well, plus we totally lead differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more like the logistical band. I'm very perceptive of what people, you know, how they're reacting. And Nikki is very much about vibe and sensing people's spirit and discerning something in the room. And so because we have different strengths, I'd say we lead well in different ways when it comes to leading worship.
Yeah, and I think it's also about being very comfortable knowing that as a leader, you're gonna have to learn how to follow sometimes. And so that's why it works so well with us. There's sometimes I'm like, you know, I feel it in my spirit that you need to be the one doing this. And we go back and forth. So I think in a leadership position, you also have to be very aware that it doesn't always mean you have to be at the forefront of things. So, yeah. What are our strengths?
Okay, I'll let you.
One of our strengths, I think, okay, on an individual level, I'd say I'm really social, and I feel like sometimes as a leader, people, the congregation, if the congregation's looking at you and they think like, oh wow, like this is a show and an experience, as a worship leader, I feel like you need to break that stigma and you need to be one with the congregation. And so for me, I know that even in between services and when the pastor says like, hey, go say hi to your neighbor, I try to make it a point to get off the pulpit.
It's like super easy for you to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like, and it is, it's not easy for everyone, and I'm not saying everyone needs to do it, but I know I try to make myself approachable to people, and I try to listen, and I try to just, you know, try to be as open as possible to make people feel comfortable. And I feel like that's where the spirit begins to move, when they feel like they're equal with you. It's never about us as leaders being up high and then down low. You're an equal to the congregation. So I feel like that's what one of my strengths is.
One of my strengths, I would have to say, is like logistics. I'm really good at coming into an environment, a team, a band, you know, teaching songs, vocal parts, things like that. Like that to me comes very, very naturally. And I have no problem kind of taking the reins and kind of being able to navigate that. But I would have to say that I love that our strengths, even though they're kind of on the opposite, I feel like Nikki's is very relational and I'm very much like type A.
If she was not like that, I would be a hot mess.
But,
like if she,
but that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
you're so good at just.
I feel like they balance each other out because sometimes I know I need to work on focusing on the actual group of people, because they are ultimately why we do what we do, is so that people can encounter Jesus.
And if y'all know me, y'all know that sometimes I need to respond to a text a little faster,
and
or
she doesn't.
Maybe an email. Hey, like,
or she needs to focus, and if I say, Nikki, this is your part, she's like, staring off at a fly or something.
I do. Sometimes it's hard for me to hone in.
All to say that these are our strengths. These are some of our strengths, but I feel like I love it.
But it balances out our weaknesses.
Right, agreed. So those are our strengths. I'll take this one.
The dynamic.
Okay. As sisters, you've obviously like known each other forever, and obviously, but working together and also living together and doing life together is a whole other ballgame. Now that we're doing this actively, as far as like doing ministry together, ministry is not for the faint of heart. There are great days, there are really, really hard days.
Yeah.
And I feel like as sisters, the dynamic has changed a lot because now we've had to really pull our own weight in order to make this work. Because there are some days where I'm great and she's down, and then there are days where she's really up and I'm kind of like, ugh. So the dynamic has changed a lot in the sense that I think it's made us a lot closer. Like if I thought we were close before, now we do life, we have friends, yes, you know, whatever, but now we have to pray, and now we have to intercede, and now we have to kind of figure out, you know, okay, this is where Nikki's at, so I need to do this to anticipate where Nikki's at, and what can I do to help her kind of get out of this space. So the dynamic is a lot deeper, and I thought we were close, but it's definitely deeper now.
I'd say the dynamic between the two of us has gotten literally from 0 to 10. I think when you start seeing things in a spiritual realm, I mean, obviously we're sisters, and everyone who has a sibling gets it, and even if you don't, you have a best friend or something. But when you start working with that person, especially in ministry, the enemy's gonna do anything to kind of divide that. We've come into this place where I know I've never experienced certain insecurities and things that I feel uncomfortable with that I never ever had until I jumped into ministry with my sister. So the dynamic even 6 months ago to where it's at now is night and day. Our biggest bridge between one another and link is our communication.
It has
we
to be
don't let time sit between insecurities, or if we had a fight or a disagreement, because
there are still days. There's
sometimes the dynamic is not always holy. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes it takes a little bit more than just prayer. It's not even just laying hands for prayer. It's
laying all the hands.
Laying these kind of hands. And you have to make sure you're really honed into your word and your worship.
And that there's no pride, so we can communicate.
Yeah, pride. Can't have pride. Put the pride aside.
Right. That is our dynamic as sisters.
This is like one thing.
Okay.
Just one. I think what I love most about leading worship is that every encounter with God that I have on that pulpit is different. There's never been a time where I say like, oh, this feels like the last time. Every time I encounter the Spirit, it feels different. And that goes beyond even being on a pulpit. Whether I'm receiving or I am the one leading, I feel like it's such an honor to do what we do. And I would hope that I never get used to that feeling. I feel like I'm falling in love every single time I worship. And of course there's days where I'm like, I'm not feeling this.
Right.
But the moments I do get a chance to encounter the Spirit, it's indescribable. And I could live off that feeling forever. I think that's what I really love. I love encountering God in a different way, through people, through stories, through testimonies, through a band, through a team that's leading, or if I'm in the congregation, just receiving. To me, there's nothing that compares to that feeling.
Okay, so lately, for me, one of the best things about leading worship is getting to see people's faces. There are some days, and it's going to be a super real moment, there are some days where you don't feel you have the strength to go up there and encourage others, because there are some days that you feel empty, and there are some days that, you know, you're the one that needs to be encouraged. And anybody who does this, like whether you're a pastor, a small group leader, or worship leader, or you know, or you're, you know, a believer who attends church and you're in a secular setting like, you know, school or work, there are some days that you feel empty. As a worship leader, I can tell you that one of the best things that gives me strength is seeing people's faces when they get to a place where I know that it's no longer about the song or the cool vocal or what the band is doing or the whatever. If you stripped all that away and they could still get to encounter Jesus, and you get like, and I'm up here and I get to see your face, and I get to see the look of total surrender, where I see that you're totally encountering Jesus. Like that to me is one of the most favorite, wonderful feelings that I get to see and experience when I'm a worship leader. All right, guys, this was us. Hope you guys loved it, liked it.
Yeah, we just wanted
subscribe.
to, okay,
like,
share. This is kind of where you guys get to know us as just as leaders, and kind of in a spiritual place. Like, where are these girls coming from? And if you guys have any questions or comments or want to ask us something,
anything,
please,
guys. Nikki and I are an open book, and if you get to know us, you'll know that we're real people.
There's really nothing y'all could ask us, even if it's not on a comment, but maybe you guys want to personal message us or a DM, whatever. There's nothing that you guys could ask us that'd be like far-fetched.
Yeah.
Because if we haven't gone through it, we've walked through life with someone who probably has gone through it. And so this is really a time and a space that we want to create with you guys to kind of give a viral safe space. Kind of creating this with you guys, it helps us as well to learn from you guys and what we could do as leaders better. How can we serve you guys better? So
we want to do life with you guys. So comment back, and we love y'all.
Woohoo!